Hey, folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. This video for Thursday, May 5th, 2011 is sponsored by Realtic. All right, folks, we're going to get right into it now. Let's take a look at the charts. The SPY is down 29 cents on the day as of this current video. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 47 points. NASDAQ is up 5 points, and the S&P 500 is down 3 points. So Dow, S&P lower, NASDAQ is higher on the day. We'll discuss this in depth over the course of the video, why that's taking place. All right, first off, the markets did gap lower. Why did the markets move to the downside here today? The easy answer is because of the ECB. ECB making comments that we're somewhat bearish on the euro. Bearish on the euro means the dollar will jump. Take a look at the UUP today. The UUP is skyrocketing. Now, good thing for us here at In the Money Stocks, I gave out a long call on the UUP at 2092 to go long the dollar. I said at 2092 on the UUP, buy this dollar. It is going to go up. It's making a bottom. The signals are on the daily chart. Sure enough, up we go. Blast off central. The UUP is at the highs of the day right now. Look at that chart. That is a huge move. If you go to the daily chart, look at the size of this move. And guess who's buying right down here? This is the buy entry, guys, on the dollar to the long side. Target 20 moving averages. First target at $21.28. And then second target will be probably right around this little pivot here at 21.40. Beautiful move here, and again, profits in the pockets for those of us that picked up the dollar on this latest move to the downside, hitting the key entry target. All right, going back to the intraday dollar, you can see it continue to scream higher. The markets are very unusual today for a couple different reasons. First off, they're barely down. Usually when the dollar spikes this much, the markets would be down much, much more, but they are having a decent stabilizing effect. I don't know if this is POMO coming in here. Nice little bottoming tail right there. And look at the surge that we got. Now, the markets are coming back down, but the question will be is, do we go back to the lows? Do we go lower? What's going on? Remember, just as of Monday, we hit the master 137.10 level right here, which was the master top. So not only did we call the bottom on the dollar to the penny essentially, we also called the top to the SPY, which mirrors the S&P 500. So we nailed the top on the markets. That's where you wanted to be short the market. Look at the drop that you've had. Then on the dollar, we wanted to be long right there at 2092. That's in the money nicely, a couple percent already, which is a huge move on the dollar as well. And again, it just keeps on flowing. Now, the key is to remember, folks, you can always take a free trial of our services. The Research Center, 7-day free trial. Chat room, 7-day free trial. What you have to do is go visit the In the Money Stocks website, and you can find the little banner there that gives you the 7-day free trial, and just click on it and do what you will with it, all right? Good stuff there. In any case, the spiders, again, down about 30 cents. Now, let's take a look at a couple other things. First off, it's interesting how this blue line held up, and we also this kind of orangish line down here. If I zoom out, you're going to see where these lines came from. This is the gap window. So gap window from the 26th of April, the markets have never really closed, or at least on that initial move down, we never closed below. Then you have this little pivot top area from the 21st. 21st, right to that pivot high, to the opening on the 25th, which I believe Friday was closed that day because of Good Friday. So in any case, you had the Thursday highs, and then the Monday high pivot, and that's the low of the day here as well. So it's very interesting how the levels continue to work so beautifully on the charts, and you can clearly see we have never confirmed below the blue line. Even here with a close below, you never confirmed. Plus you have a bottoming tail, which took us all the way back towards the flat line. Now we're just seeing a little bit of a pullback here. The volume is getting very light. Now, why is the volume getting light? Well, because tomorrow the non-farm payrolls report is coming out. That is the jobs report for this market. It's a huge number tomorrow, especially after we got the jobless claims number today. And this is something that I find fascinating, and I'm going to throw it out there right now. Think about this. Over the last month, if you go 1 month ago, the jobless claims were in the 380,000 levels. So right around 380,000 per month, which was the lowest in a couple years from what I remember. And then over the last month, they've crept higher. Last week, we hit 431,000. And this week, jobless claims this morning at 8:30 a.m. in the morning came out to be 474,000. So all of a sudden, we're nearing 500,000 again. Is it a coincidence that these numbers are coming out like this just prior to the end of QE2, or could it be a maneuvering by the Fed and the government to make sure that the population, is okay with QE3? QE2 obviously didn't work that well, did it? Because the unemployment rate is basically where it was. Maybe it came down a tiny bit. The overall economy is not that great. Housing prices are still going down. So overall, we see this not working. The only thing it's done is made commodity prices go up, which are now suspiciously collapsing as well. Take a look at gold. GLD, folks, down $3.27 today. Look at the daily chart. Look at this drop on the daily chart. An unbelievable drop on the daily GLD chart. A collapse all the way down into support. You actually have support here, and then the 50 moving average is next. SLV is down basically 30% in the last 4 trading days. From this pivot top here around 48 and change, all the way down 1 week later to a low of 34.77. It is an unbelievable decline on the SLV, 30% loss on this commodity. Now, granted, it was up 80% in the last 3 months, but 80% rise in 3 months, and then you take away the loss of 30%. That's actually a pretty steep decline. Overall, I do think the ESLV probably bounces pretty soon. You are coming into some major supports. There's a support right here that I'm watching very closely, and also you have a little bit of a gap window support right here, and then also gap fill support. So there's a lot of supports on the the SLV right in the general area. And again, I don't think you're gonna have a big bounce, but you should have a $2 to $3 bounce at some point here, probably taking you back close to $40 on the SLV before it may make a move down even more so. If it continues to break through these levels and actually takes out this pivot low down here, which will be your next support, then you're going to this little pivot right down here and possibly the 200 moving average. It's been an amazing move in commodities today. Oil is getting crushed as well, down $2.80 right now on the USO. Look at this collapse. By the way, in the nightly videos, if you were a Research Center member, this past Monday, I said, guys, topping tail on the USO. This is going down. On the GLD daily chart, I said, topping tail on the GLD. This is going down. Why did I know that? Well, because you just have to know your patterns. When a candlestick looks like that, that's a topping tail. That's a topping signal when you have it, especially at the highs of these levels. The USO, folks, at that price, if you had shorted it to close that day on that topping tail, that was at $45. You are now in the money essentially $5 on the USO. We're talking about the USO here on oil. I mean, just unbelievable how the charts can tell you what's coming. And this collapse actually took you down to a little bit of a pivot support area right here. But, I mean, who knows how low this is going to go. I mean, I would say I would probably be a buyer at this little pivot down here if you got there. That would be at around $39. So if it drops another $1.50, I could see being a buyer on the USO at that price. In any case, it has been a wild week, a wild last month or so with earnings and everything. Earnings are now quieting down, but everyone's eyes are now on QE3. The jobs number tomorrow morning. The jobless claims just continue to get uglier. ECB comments are dovish towards the euro, which we can look at the FXE. FXE is getting crushed to the 20 moving average, which probably tells us the dollar reached a high today at this point, since the euro is making a low, probably going to find a little minor support here. But again, what a drop on the euro, what a rise on the dollar. And again, it's good to be in that trade. That's a great trade there. By the way, folks, as you guys know, if we go back to the SPY, for those of you that follow these free videos, I called perfectly the pivot top here to the penny. Essentially, I said 127.10. We hit 127.18. 8 cents above my trigger for a massive top in the markets. And look at the reverse. It also coincided with my partner's cycle date as well. And the markets have come down beautifully, although we are at some support. There's a lot of support here. Pivot high, 20 moving average, all that area. That is big, big support there, okay? So we'll continue to watch that very closely and see. But the calls are just coming fast and furiously. One other call here, a good one as well. FFIV was a buy at $99.75. That's been up as much as $3 from that trigger price. And again, it's still hovering up about $1 and change above that in the money play with a break-even stop on it. It's a beautiful trade right there on FFIV. And again, people in the Research Center making bank as well as in the chat room. All right, let's take a look at a couple other things before we go. Chevron is continuing to dump out, although it's off the lows of the day. The key with Chevron is you want to go to your daily chart and take a look at this pivot. This is really going to be interesting. If you close below this line right here, we could head south, but I think, again, you're getting to a point where you probably see a bounce. Remember, tomorrow is Friday. That usually is a flattish to up day because volume is very light on Fridays. So that's what I'm kind of expecting. I'm kind of expecting a neutral to positive day tomorrow, which means Chevron probably gets a small bounce. Exxon could get a bounce as well, although Exxon is still just above. It just came above this little pivot low. See this little pivot low here? That's really your area that you want to look for that bounce on. All right. What else do we have? Apple Computers only down 32 cents. As the market started to run down to the downside, some key tech stocks have really started to prop themselves up. We're seeing money flow coming from commodity stocks like Chevron and Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Marathon Oil, you name it. All these names, the money's coming out of those, and it's finding entries into old school, hardcore technology stocks. Apple's one of them a little bit, but I'm more so talking about stocks like Hewlett Packard. Hewlett Packard, look at over the last 3 days, up, up, and up. And it's actually holding this area of support very nicely. Also, Intel just continues to see more money flow. That stock is up again today. That's an old school tech stock. Even Cisco, which has been in the doghouse lately, has not gone down at all. In fact, inching up a little bit off the lows here as well on Cisco Systems. So there's a lot of signals that money's flowing into old school tech. And what I mean by old school tech, I'm talking about old school tech, meaning like the stocks that have been around for a long time, that have been the large caps for a long time. Even Microsoft, folks. You can see Microsoft the last few days as the market has cratered. Money flow has gone in here and lifted it up beautifully. So it's important to recognize as well. All right. Going back to the SPY, let's take a look at the intraday again. Markets are holding this 50 moving average. Any sort of pop could take us up to this little pivot high here, 135.15 or so. And it will be interesting to see where they close this market today and then what happens tomorrow on the non-farm payrolls number. All right, guys, fun day today. Remember, it's all about getting involved, taking the free trial of the Research Center, free trial of the intraday stock chat. You want to be involved in this market. You want to understand what's going on, and ultimately you want to profit. All those things accomplished in the Research Center, in the chat room. Take care.